Yo, welcome back to another edition of the Stay Off My Grass podcast. It's your boy Jeremiah, back again to talk Laker basketball. And thankfully, I can say now, Laker basketball, our season is over. We don't have to watch the Lakers go out and play basketball. We don't have to talk about them for at least until the playoffs is over. We don't have to talk any big news Lakers until the playoffs is over. But today I'm back with you to talk not about our wins, not about our losses, but the firing of our head coach Frank Vogel. Now, we all know for months now that the writing was on the wall. Frank Vogel was going to be fired from the Lakers, whether we wanted him to be fired or not. It was just it was his time had come. His voice is no longer reign true to our locker room anymore, and we just needed a change. So we knew this was coming for a minute. We knew he wouldn't be able to save his job unless the Lakers made a deep playoff run, and guess what? They didn't do. No playoff, no run. So Frank Vogel was immediately fired. Now people are saying, the reports leaked early that Frank would be fired and what have you. Is very unprofessional of the Lakers, and I do think it's very unprofessional of the Lakers for them not to have the conversation with Frank first. But let's be honest, we all knew this was going to happen for months now. We knew this was going to happen for a while. So let's get that out the way. But as a coach, as Frank Vogel did for the Lakers, he won a championship. Whether you want to whatever you have to say about that, he won a championship, and the Lakers could have at least changed the narrative. Maybe the headline could have read today: the Lakers parted ways with Frank Vogel, or the Lakers and Frank Vogel agreed to mutually split ways because it was no longer working for either party. Um, some people say Frank Vogel at least deserved that much respect to be let go, but for a while now it was clear that Frank Vogel was going to be out at the end of the season, whether we want to believe it or not. But as a whole, Frank Vogel and the Lakers, they all is the blame for this season shouldn't just fall on Frank Vogel. I don't think it just falls on Frank Vogel. It's from top down to is from management all the way down to the players this season for sure. There's no one short to blame for sure. Like for they're the blame for this season. It can't just be you can't just finger point. It goes all the way down. Like everyone is equal and somewhat uh equal and somewhat of the blame of what happened this season. 33 wins from a team that was projected to win it all. It doesn't just start with one person. It starts with the whole organization, the whole franchise. So Frank Vogel, of course, he has to be the scapegoat for that because he's the coach. He's there every night. But if we're being honest, a lot of people deserve some blame for that, from players to management, and I think that's clear. But in his tenure as a Laker, Frank won 127 games. He lost 98. He won an NBA championship, and he posted an 18-9 postseason record with the Lakers. One of those and one postseason he took them. They won the championship. So you could say his tenure in Lakerland was semi-successful. He made the playoffs 2 out of the 3 years, with the anomaly being this year, the Lakers just not making the play-in tournament at all. No type of postseason play. So this season will kind of linger in Lakerland for a long time because of what could have been, and it's just just a sad way to end the season. So in order to have someone to blame, the Lakers chose to blame Frank Vogel, and that's not saying like he didn't also garner some of the blame. It was points in the season where Frank it was a lot of lineup changes. A lot of people can see it. Like it was moments in the season where Dwight Howard wasn't playing and moments he should have been playing, and we had LeBron playing center for 15 games almost. And I guess the first 5 games it worked, but after that, teams didn't figure it out. Frank, sort of his adjustments on the floor weren't, working well. They just weren't working well for the team in general. Like the team was a team of older guys, so they're not predicated on not necessarily stopping the ball or getting up and down the floor like a younger team would, i.e. the Miami Heat, for example. They play really good defense, and they're a very young team. Or the Grizzlies, they're a very young team. They play good perimeter defense, and they like to get up and run. And you can't do that with the Lakers, because in the earlier sense, when this Laker team was put together, they were put together in the sense that they were a good team in transition. They were a good team in transition, but they played good defense. And when the Lakers weren't set up to play good defense, as in the seasons they had before with a good defensive anchor on the end, like a Marc Gasol or a JaVale McGee, they weren't able to be as successful. And also, you can't, just necessarily put all the blame on Frank Vogel when, for one, Anthony Davis missed tons and tons of games this season. And I feel like that's something you have to address when you talk about play of the Lakers. Like, I don't have the exact number but AD missed a lot of games. And when you miss a lot of games, you just don't have that player production. And asking a 37-year-old LeBron to go out there and win you 40 games, it would have seemed to get you into the postseason this year. And the Lakers just couldn't get it done. And a lot of that, I would say, comes to the players too, just not playing, not being available to play. And it's hard for Frank, to have players available to play. If he doesn't have the guys available to play, how is he gonna, get the team to where they need to be? But also, it goes both ways too, because last season on the bench you had Jason Kidd, great offensive-minded coach, and he was able to pick up slack in the areas where Frank wasn't. Frank, we all knew Frank was billed as a defensive coach from his time in Indiana with Roy Hibbert and Paul George, and those guys. They played really tough defense, and George Hill on the perimeter when he had those type players. But when you lose a coach like Jason Kidd and you lose players like JaVale McGee and you don't have the availability of AD, you can't really play to your philosophy, so to say. And the Lakers weren't able to do that. And another thing, like, Frank Vogel had Russell Westbrook available for the majority of the season. And if he knew anything, if Frank Vogel wanted to, be successful this season, he'd have found some way to get Westbrook involved in running the offense. For the most part, because LeBron missed a lot of games and AD missed a lot of games, but granted that they weren't able to play. So if he would have been able to sort of center the offense around Russell Westbrook, a player who is available every night, it maybe would have changed the trajectory of the season. But I'm just here to give you the sum up, give you the reaction. But in all, I don't think Frank Vogel is the only one to blame for this season and how it went. I do think that it is blame to go around the organization this season, players, management, and just coming down and playing the game every night. But I do say this: I am excited to see who the Lakers hire. I think they need more of an established coach, one that players will want to listen to, because you got to remember, this is an older Lakers team. Like, you need an established coach who's respected by the players, and that's something that has a philosophy. That's something that the Lakers can buy into. They're an older team, so they're not buying into we're going to play hard-nosed defense style of basketball. That's just not what they're built to do, and you have to recognize that as like an improper fit, and it just would not fit in Frank Vogel's system, being that he's a defensive coach. But I am excited to see who the Lakers, go look for to bring in LA to be a head coach, because whoever gets that next head coaching job as Laker, he's gonna inherit a lot of problems. And I want to see who they choose. I'm hearing Nick Nurse. I'm not too really fond of that name. I would more like an established coach. I understand Nick Nurse has won a championship, but I don't think he's leaving Toronto anytime soon. So the Lakers got to start thinking about free agent coaches or someone in that sort. But that's it. That's what I got for you guys today. I think that's pretty much it. Peace. Until next time.